I may have decorated already. It's August. August equals fall in my book. Happy fall, y'all. I'm back and I have more Let's Not Meet stories that I'm super nervous to read. I saved these forever ago, so I don't remember them in the slightest. I don't even fully read stories anyways, but I skim through them most of the time to make sure they're gonna be good, and I don't know what to expect right now. Hopping right in, this says, "To my crazy ex that threatened to kill me, let's not meet again. Hey Courtney, I love your videos and I thought I would post about my crazy ex story. This may be a little disorganized, so I apologize if it is. Trigger warning for graphic language and threats." This story starts in my freshman year of high school. I'd been friends with a guy, we'll call M, for a while, and we started dating a couple months after the start of school. Looking back, there were a lot of warning signs, but I was naive. Me and M did not have an exciting relationship. Most of our hangouts consisted of him being asleep, but his behavior was worrying even when we were dating. He would frequently talk about dark fantasies of torturing or killing people, but as a true crime junkie, it didn't really faze me. He would always go into grave detail about these fantasies and at times would choose specific people to create these fantasies about. While I'm in the relationship, he would also try and isolate me from friends and family. He hated my dad and brother and would say it to me frequently, even at some point saying how he wished my dad wasn't there and implied doing things to him. Side note, my dad got bad vibes from M, so he would call him out. My dad is 6'1" and over 200 pounds and was in the military reserve for a little bit of his life, so he's a little scary and I was never worried. Luckily, I had a previous boyfriend who did similar isolation tactics, so I shut it down fast. I may be 5'1", but I can speak my mind. As our relationship progressed, he got more weird. We had a best friend that had a thing for him and he knew, and he would frequently put her down and continue this after we broke up. Not shutting her down in a I have a girlfriend way, but he would be straight out bullying her and would tell her to. And although these were all red flags, it got worse. As I was ready for the relationship to end, I started distancing myself. As a result, he got closer to our best friend. I could care less because she knew I wanted to break up with him. One day in May, we were going to have a sleepover at her house and they were snapping back and forth. She was sending snaps of us together, so he knew I was next to her. He started sending snaps of slightly worrying threats, but nothing too bad. The longer they snapped, the worse his fantasies became. And then this is where the trigger warnings will start. I was talking to her mom when A, our best friend, got my attention. M had sent a snap saying how he would like to kill me. We entertained him thinking it was a little funny, but it quickly turned into scary. This will be paraphrased because it was over 2 years ago, but he started talking about how he would take me to an excluded location. When we were out there, he would tell me he wanted to kill me. I would run, and because he had a foot on me and is in track, he would catch up to me and hit my legs until they were paralyzed. He then would let me crawl away screaming for help. As I did, he would continue to bludgeon me, and as I died letting out my last breath, he would smile. This is where we stopped talking to him because it was super scary and her mom told us to stop. That's the most disturbing thing I think I've ever read. I don't know what the fuck. After this, I didn't talk to him for weeks until I finally you were still dating at this point, until I finally broke it off in June. I stopped being friends with A because she would tell him about me all the time. In my sophomore year, A and I would start to become friends again. She told me about how M would talk about me a lot and how he wanted me back. I didn't ever try to reach out because of the obvious. Fast forward to November of our sophomore year, I started talking to O. O was M's ex-best friend and they stopped being friends quickly after M and I broke up. M had pinned O on his bed and dug his knee into his chest. O couldn't breathe and it freaked him out, so they stopped being friends. This guy needs to be in prison. When me and O officially started dating, M started stalking our locations on Snap Map. A told me this and I quickly blocked M. O didn't because he didn't think he would do anything. M is now friendly to O. M continued to stalk his location and one of M's friends, E, lived next to O, so M was at E's house a decent amount of time. This is getting confusing. M-E-O-O, Mo. At this time, A told me M had talked about wanting to kill me and it worried her because they were full-blown plans. M's other friend, L, lives really close to me and not even a minute walk from me. M said he would park his car at L's house, walk over to my house, break through my door, which connected my room to the deck. He would then go into my room and would have no problems because my dog knew him and would either suffocate or stab me. I don't remember. He would then go back to L's house, take a shower, and would have an alibi. I told my mom, who called his. His mom said he would never do anything like that, but my mom and I knew that was bullshit. His mom had him apologize to my mom, and his BS excuse was, I wasn't talking about RJ, I was talking about a guy in my game. Man's only plays Rocket League, so who knows. This is stupid because of the detail he went into. He talked about landmarks and specific things about my house. My mom was satisfied, but my dad and older sister wanted to go to the cops, thank God. I was scared at the time and didn't want him to have a reason to do anything, so I refused. After he called, he had to leave me alone, and he did for the most part. He has a staring problem to this day and tried to talk to O about me a couple times, but O would change the subject. We had one interaction in a class that I had a panic attack about, which led me to be paranoid and anxious all the time, which is totally understandable. Luckily, I was in therapy and was able to work through it. My therapist brought up the cops again, and this time we made a report. Not about the class interaction, but about the previous threats. Recently, I found out he got punched by one of his other ex-friends because he was trying to force Jay, the friend, to give him head. So he's definitely a little messed up. I just finished my junior year, so I still have a year left, but we have cameras at my house now. I know he still talks about me, but because we have no mutuals now, I can't really know what exactly about. All he does is stare at me now. To my crazy ex who threatened to kill me on multiple occasions, let's not meet because I keep a knife under my pillow and know how to use it. That's insane. I'm so sorry. That is terrifying. And the fact that you're still like in the same vicinity as him, like at school and stuff, it freaks me out. That man needs to be locked up. Actually locked up before he does something. It's so scary. And this is not going to be any better. This says my crazed and obsessive high school stalker. What did I go with, the stalker theme? The high school boyfriend stalker theme? I guess. Trigger warnings for mental illness, obsessive stalking, and threats of violence. Hey Courtney, my name is Ella. I love your videos and have been watching you for a very long time. This is insanely long and I'm so sorry. I'm a writer, so I have a tendency to write in as much detail as possible. This is a story from a couple of years ago, my freshman year of high school, and it centers mostly around my friend Lily, but also involves me. I also want to mention, I did get my friend's permission to tell this. My freshman year, I took a fun and interactive art class where we had a free range of where we wanted to sit, so we moved around a lot. The class had around 15 people total, and in the beginning, no one knew each other. There were about 4 other freshmen. Me and this other girl named Lily became friends pretty quickly. I also became friends slightly later with another freshman named Carter. Carter and Lily weren't really friends. Carter and I had 3 other classes together besides the art class, and we mostly talked in those classes, and we didn't really talk in art. Carter had a couple of upperclassmen friends he spoke to. Lily and I mostly just sat alone together. We had gotten a couple of new kids in the class throughout the semester, and they had all been very nice and respectful people. But I would say around January, we got another new kid, a junior named Robin. Since writing this, I've learned as a junior, Robin was 19, so he had been held back a couple of times. Please keep in mind, Lily and I were freshmen at the time. I was 15 and Lily was 14. The way the art class is set up, there are 2 columns of 3 tables with a large space in between the columns to walk each table. The right side of the room is where Carter and most of his upperclassmen friends sat together, which was a lot of the class. The left of the room was completely empty besides the table in front of where Lily and I sat. When Robin joined the class, he sat in the back of the class on the left side at a table alone, and he stayed there for about 2 months. It started off subtle. I would be standing somewhere in class talking to Lily and he would join our conversation. I always tried to be polite and entertain the conversation, but Lily was braver than I was and understood his off-putting vibes to be a telltale reason to be less polite to him. So she mostly gave him snappy responses or flat out ignored him. He would come up to us at the end of class or while we were talking to Carter or his friends. When speaking to Robin, he would try to shift the conversation to be about himself. He would brag about unlikely accomplishments he was achieving, like saying his mom was a famous director and he was going to meet Ryan Reynolds, or he was going to be auditioning for Juilliard because they specifically asked for him to. And if he wasn't talking about himself, he would ask Lily and I questions about our personal lives. What our life was like at home, did we have boyfriends, were our parents married, and such. Now, Lily is gay and I did have a boyfriend, and when we told him this, it didn't seem to throw him off and he was not convinced that it was true. His incessant nagging to us was so frequent and was getting more frequent, I guess, the more comfortable he was getting around us. And it was getting to the point where he would come up to us in the middle of working time and was disrupting our projects and time to work on said projects. And if we had a substitute teacher, he would ask to sit with us while we did our busy work. Eventually it got to the point where he sat at our table all the time, next to Lily. He would always try to touch her arms or legs and she would have to tell him to stop, and he would keep asking the both of us on dates. We always said no. I don't even understand what he was trying to do here. Date us both? Go on a group date? Or did he want us to fight for him? I still don't get it. Later on, Carter and his senior friend in the class, whom I was also friends with, Beatrice, started sitting with us and they saw and heard about our discomfort. I would say this was about March. This oddly deterred Robin greatly and he stopped sitting with us. But his harassment didn't stop. He came up to me at one point and cornered me. I don't remember the exact reason. I believe he said he had a question he wanted to ask me later, but he wanted my Instagram and I was concerned, so I gave it to him. I have a problem with being too polite. From there, he found my boyfriend Trevor's Instagram and started relentlessly DMing him. He accused me of cheating on Trevor with him and told Trevor to break up with me. Of course, Trevor knew of Robin already, told him to fuck off, and blocked him. Good. I confronted Robin with Lily the next day, and Robin said he was just 100% sure I liked him and thought he was doing me a favor by setting me free. As why else would I have given Robin my Instagram? I told him to please leave my boyfriend alone and I was interested in being his friend and nothing else. He didn't seem to buy it, but at this point he was way more infatuated with Lily than me anyway. He had found her Instagram from mine and she received a number of DMs. This was going on while he was DMing my boyfriend. I would say Lily received up to 20 DMs a day, and since she was single, he just felt she had to want him more than me as I was in a relationship. His DMs to Lily were mostly casual. He would tell her about his day, ask about hers, and ask for regular questions. She never accepted his request and ended up blocking him. Robin, over time, we think, became obsessed with Lily. He would make fake accounts and tell Lily she was his person and he really wanted to be with her, sent her unwarranted shirtless pictures and nude pictures. She eventually just deleted her Instagram. I think he just genuinely believed she wanted him and this is all she wanted. He ended up learning her entire schedule and would just follow her to class. He even found a way to switch into one of her classes to pester her even more. It got to the point where in art, our table was full of Carter's friends just so he couldn't sit there. I told Carter's friends about his relentless stalking, and anytime Robin came anywhere near the table, someone was ushering him away so fast. Carter walked Lily to art, and Trevor had a class nearby her, so him and I walked Lily to her next class after art. Lily never reciprocating and everyone telling him to leave her alone, over time I guess, helped Robin gain some sense of reality as he realized Lily was not interested. So now, whenever he saw her and was able to get close to her, he would just beg and beg her for a chance, to which she would ignore. Robin found Lily's job as a barista and would sit at the counter and try to talk to her as often as he could, which, since he could drive, was often. Her boss had to get involved, but since he was an active customer, her boss didn't ban him. She just always had some extra security like older coworkers surrounding her and working with her at all times. That's crazy. He never found her house, thank God. By the near end of our freshman year, Robin stopped caring that Lily didn't want him and just started acting like they were together. I guess he thought maybe she would just give in, but she was very brave and stoic. Lily never communicated with him or even looked at him ever. She was very good with remembering that. But she was suffering pretty greatly. Her grades dropped tremendously and she was so terrified to come to school she needed extra security through teachers and friends wherever she went or she would panic. My art teacher tried his best to help her. He tried to remove Robin from the class, I think 3 times, but since it was the end of the year, his requests kept getting denied. He was a lovely teacher. He genuinely cared and tried to help Lily. But the most he could do was constantly ask Robin to take walks, move him to the second art room to do his work, which he couldn't do often, and keep him away from Lily at all costs. That makes me so sad that like the school wouldn't do anything and your teacher's trying so hard. Robin, through all of this, would post pictures of Lily on his Instagram and claim she was his girlfriend. He would try to grab her whenever he found an opportunity, but he was always immediately stopped by her or someone else with her. There were multiple occasions where Lily had caught his car following her bus home from school. Luckily, we live in a city and the bus Lily takes home is a public service bus, and Lily knows the area well enough to get off a few stops and lose him in an alley and through other buildings. By the end of the year, the whole situation took a wild turn. Robin was expelled on the last couple of days of school for completely different reasons. Oh my God. He was expelled for trying to steal a number of different teachers' belongings, keys, phones, wallets, and a bunch of school-owned items, calculators, pencils, sharpeners, as the school had reason to believe he had intent to do harm with these stolen items. He ended up being sent to a mental hospital and was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, OCD, and bipolar disorder. The only reason I know all of this is because the authorities contacted Lily and I to let us know he had multiple albums of just pictures and gathered information on Lily and I, mostly Lily of course. I mean like hundreds to thousands of pictures and pages of information. The pictures were mostly of zoomed in parts of her body, sometimes her back, arms, or even her butt or other private parts zoomed in. He took photos in art, in the hallways, Lily walking to her bus. He had docs of master lists of information about us, from favorite color to mom's name. What was so creepy is he had titles like address with the info saying to be determined. So Robin did have intent to fully find all of our info. It surprised me to hear he still had tabs on me, at least somewhat. I guess Trevor scared him off from doing anything too extreme in person, but his digital albums of me were still being updated. At least until he was sent to the hospital. And at the hospital, officials there told Lily of his consistent mention of her. We don't know any details of what he said, but they mentioned that he spoke about Lily quite a lot. After some research, people with severe borderline personality disorder seem to hyperfixate on one person, and they believe this person is their person. We think he believed that was Lily to him. I believe after he finished with the hospital time, his family and him moved away. We're in college now, and Lily is doing better. She's in a relationship with her amazing girlfriend named Kylie. She's living in a new state full-time. She needed a lot of counseling and years of security wherever she went, but she's starting to heal. Although my friend never gave Robin the satisfaction of reacting harshly to his endeavors, she was terrified, especially because of how much it had escalated in just a couple of months. I'm also doing okay. I'm in college, and although I'm no longer with Trevor, I'm with a guy named Tyler, and he makes me feel just as safe as Trevor did. So, to the guy who relentlessly stalked my best friend and I and gave us extreme paranoia and a terrible, fearsome high school career, let's absolutely never meet again, and I hope you get all the help you desperately need. That, I actually, I don't even know what to say. Undiagnosed mental illness can be really scary and really tricky to navigate, and I'm very glad he's getting the help he needs, because clearly he needs it. But you guys did not deserve to go through all of that. That's insane to me. It's I don't know. It's so hard to navigate that, but it's nobody ever deserves to be at the end of, you know what I mean? I'm just glad that he's hopefully getting the help he needs. And then of course the last story says stalker story, so we're going with that today, I guess. Hi Courtney, I've been watching your videos for quite a while now and thought I might as well share one of my Let's Not Meet stories. I know it's really long. This was 2 or 3 months ago on my way to college. I had just gotten off the bus and started to walk down to the college gates. Just like any normal teenager, I was on my phone scrolling through TikTok, doing the usual. Just as I was walking up to the school gates, I see a man stood at the bus stop across the road staring at me. He was wearing blue jogging bottoms that had dirt and rips all over them and a white t-shirt that also had rips in it. I didn't really think much of it at first until he started walking in my direction. I turned around and carried on walking until I heard someone say, "Excuse me." I turned around and the man was just stood there in front of me. He asked me if I had any change on me, and I didn't, so I said no. I don't, sorry, wished him a nice day, and carried on walking. That's when he walked in front of me and started asking me what my name was, how old I was, where I live, if I wanted to go with him, and finally asked if he could come with me. I completely ignored him and ran straight into college. When I got in, I told my teachers, and they said if I see him again to report it to the police. When college finishes, I have to go to the same gates to get out, and I was praying the man wasn't there waiting for me. When I got there, he was literally nowhere to be seen, which made me a bit relieved. This was until I got to the bus stop, and he was stood there. Luckily, my friend was right behind me, so I knew if I asked, she would stand and wait with me. My friend stood and waited with me until the bus came, but the problem was he got on the same bus and sat right in front of me. I put my hood up and tried to pretend I wasn't there. He then quickly turned his head and looked at me. He had a smirk on his face and then started asking me the same questions he had that morning. I ignored him, plugged in my headphones, and blasted music. When it was my stop to get off, I ran out of the bus and ran home hoping he didn't follow me off the bus. When I got to my house, I quickly unlocked the door and ran in. Unfortunately, neither of my parents were in, so I couldn't tell them what had happened. I ran upstairs and closed my curtains. I looked through the curtains, but not enough for anyone outside to see me. There he was, stood right in front of my house. He walked straight to the door, knocked, and started walking onto the back. He tried opening my kitchen door and then went to my back door. Bear in mind, my back door is broken, so it would be quite easy to get in. And when he found out that door was locked, he started punching and kicking and ramming the door, trying to get it open. By this point, I was in my brother's room on the phone to my mom, crying while my dad phoned the police. My mom was saying the police were only a few minutes away, so I calmed down a tiny bit until I heard footsteps downstairs. I didn't hear the back door open or any sound at all before, so I don't really know how he got in. I told my mom and she told me to hide, but luckily I didn't have to. Just as the man was about to start walking upstairs, the police ran in and grabbed him. My mom and dad got back and I started crying for ages. A few police officers came to visit me a few hours later. They told me they found a lot of pictures of me in his pockets. and showed me all of them. Some of these pictures were taken in places I hadn't been to in a while, so he must have been stalking me for at least a few months. I also got informed that he had a knife on him and that I was lucky he didn't make it up the stairs. So to the man that stalked me for months, let's not meet again. I hope no one has to go through anything like this. I love your videos, Courtney. What the hell? I'm so sorry. That's so scary. Oh my god, I can't even imagine. You don't even have any idea who this man is. What the fuck? I am so glad nothing happened. Oh, I am so glad they got there exactly when they did, but the fact that he even got into the house is like, okay, well, that's all I have for now. I hope you enjoyed. I didn't. If you have any other scary stalker stories that you want to share with me or the community, I will have my subreddit linked down below. Nars Meow is back to being bad. I was just out of town for a while. I got back like late last night, and this Meow is back to being super hoarse, so I'm gonna have to start him on medication again, but that's totally fine. I still have a bunch of his steroids, but I feel really bad. I'm like, what happened while I was gone? And like I just said, I went on a little trip, so I'm gonna ramble about that at the end of this video. But for now, I'm gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye. Nor move my camera, whatever. I'll show you guys my Halloween decor in another video. I do want to show you guys around my apartment and show you guys what I did. I just, like I said, I got home late last night, and so my apartment's kind of a disaster right now, and it's not all set up properly. Like, this doesn't even go here. So I will show you that in another video when I'm like able to clean and set everything up. I just wanted to get a video filmed and edited up for this weekend because I'm back really late in the week. But anyways, I went to Minnesota and I got to meet my boyfriend's family for the first time, and it was, I mean, seriously the best it could have possibly gone in my opinion. I get really nervous to meet my boyfriend's family, like, ever, because I'm just like scared they're gonna hate me for some reason. I don't know. I get so nervous about that kind of stuff, and it went really well. His family is amazing. Like, they were the kindest, most welcoming people I've ever met. I had so much fun, and he took me around, showed me his like hometown and all that fun stuff, which I love. I love like seeing that kind of stuff. My dad used to do that when we were kids. We would go to Ohio and he would show us like the house he grew up in and his high school, and I just like, I love seeing stuff like that. I think it's so fun to like see like what, I guess, what their life was like before you met them, kind of thing. I don't know. It's like so sentimental. I love it. And we did so much while I was there. I was there for like 4 days, I think 4 full days. And we did a bunch of stuff. We went to Minnehaha Falls, which was beautiful. Nar, please stop moving my tripod. Which was beautiful, but it was so humid. It was insane. That was the only complaint I had, was the humidity, but it really wasn't even that bad. I'm used to the heat, obviously, Arizona, but the humidity makes it so much different. Oh, I was soaking wet in sweat the whole time. Went to Minnehaha Falls, went to a bunch of like little like cute restaurants there. Went on like a Jeep ride. His dad has this Jeep. And the doors and the top is taken off, and that was so much fun. We like drove around the lake. We went on the lake. I can't remember what the lake was called, but we did like a little boat cruise across the lake, which was amazing. The only lake I've ever really been to is the one here in Arizona, and I've been to Lake Powell, I believe. Nar keeps moving my tripod. I went to Lake Powell, but like when I was a kid, and so that was like the first like real lake I've ever been on. It was pretty cool. But I had a great trip. I had such a fun time, and now I'm back to grind. But yeah, that's pretty much it. This is like a little summary of my vacation. I got about 25 million packages to go get, because for some reason I ordered a bunch of stuff before I left that all got here when I was gone, so I gotta go get those. I'm also starving. My flight was delayed so much last night, and by the time I got home I was just so exhausted I didn't want to eat anything, and my flight was almost, it was like 3.5, 4 hours, something crazy, which I also hate that. And I had to fly by myself home because he stayed longer in Minnesota. So I had to fly by myself. It was miserable. My flight was delayed like 2.5 hours, I think. And so I'm just like, I was starving last night and I'm still starving this morning. So I'm gonna go eat. But I love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Wait, that's not the outro. Whatever, see ya.